Welcome to the Fantasy Football Dojo here at the Ninja Legion Studios. I am Mike Krause.
I'm Mark Krause.
I'm Kirk Williams.
And we're ready to talk about some fantasy. Before we start, though, we should talk about the CSI NFL, which is just nobody can keep off the police blotter. I don't understand. Football players, can you guys get your act together, for God's sakes? The last thing I should have to worry about is whether my best player hit his kid with a stick. Like, really?
Not that we're making light of it, but Hi Joe Kids, Hi Joe Wife was actually very pertinent.
It was.
I just don't understand. Like, I didn't think I would have to consider who I'm going to play this week by who's in jail or being arrested. Like, it's bad enough I got to worry about you guys getting hurt all the time, you thoroughbreds. I don't understand. Like, yeah, it's, you know.
Thoroughbreds
anyway,
are twitchy creatures.
I'm just ranting because I have Adrian Peterson in one league, and it's just like.
In a touchdown
What am
only
I supposed to
non-PPR
do?
league,
Oh, it's
correct?
the most basic of leagues.
So,
it's just
he's very valuable.
I had him number one over Charles and McCoy because it's a non-PPR league, and now I have to find a replacement for him. So
there should be an INC marker on most for incarcerated, so you could have a bench slot for incarceration.
Good. I like that.
That would work. But well, let's start there then. The Vikings.
The
this
Vikings
is his time
owner,
to shine.
The Vikings owner, who in the height of hypocrisy is a known fraud artist, comes out and says all the options are on the table for Adrian Peterson. We could drop him. We could play him next week.
There's
don't know.
no way they drop him.
Thanks Ziggy Wilf for all the information.
They can't, because even with Percy Harvin playing as well as he did in week one, he's their only offense. I mean,
Harvin's on Seattle.
Or sorry, not
Seattle.
You're talking about my boy Cordero.
The new Harvin.
The new Harvin, excuse me.
But in any event, Matt Asiata is going to start. Asiata had some experience last year, and he did okay. I mean, he's not terrible. He's a decent flex play.
I mean, if you have Peterson and you had nothing else,
and you
got him, then you start him.
New England doesn't exactly stop the run all that well, as they showed last week against Miami.
Yeah.
So.
No Sean. By the way, I was really wrong on No Sean. I'm gonna let you guys know.
Mike wants to apologize to No Sean Moreno.
Also want to apologize for the start Kaepernick over Andrew Luck. It worked out.
That happens.
It worked out for a little bit.
If only Kaepernick's game could have been like his first 3 passes.
Right.
And then they decided to just shut it down against Dallas. But anyway, NFL players, stop hitting people and getting into trouble. And Goodell, get your act together, for goodness sakes.
We beg of all of you.
All right, well, let's start with the 1 o'clock games. Minnesota, New England's the first one. We can go with that.
Yep.
Asiata's a play. Like we said, New England's defense isn't that great against the run. I still like Patterson. Even though he might have Revis on him, I don't care because
they can work
him
in
the ball any number of ways. As far as New England goes, hey, Gronk scored.
Yeah,
Gronk score.
Gronk had a great
smash.
He had a great game.
Yeah, he did, and he even still looks a little. I don't want to say slow, but he looks a little clunkier than he was. Even
he looks a little grunky, more grunky than
More
usual.
Gronk. But, hey, I mean, he's going to score because he's a monster.
And they've actually upgraded him from questionable to probable. So maybe that means he'll actually get more snaps, because he put up a fair amount of points and only played, but I think 18 or 19 offensive snaps, and he still had a pretty good game. So, and he's going to be the biggest red zone target of that offense all year.
Yeah, it was very good to see Shane Vereen get a lot of the looks last week in New England's offense as far as the backfield.
I think he's a guaranteed play.
Yeah, but that was what we were all hoping. We didn't want to see a James White touchdown week 1.
Like a John Kuhn touchdown.
That started off the regular and fantasy season so perfectly.
Oh, it did. It was fantastic.
But yeah, I think Vereen's a great play. I think he'll continue to be a great play unless he gets hurt or, they start vulturing things. But he got red zone carries.
I'm actually going to start Vereen in a non-PPR league over Gio.
Yeah, they're both real similar style players.
Ooh.
The Falcons' defense, though, is terrible.
Yeah, the Falcons' defense doesn't stop anybody.
That's true, but
I don't know, man.
Being a straight up non-PPR and it's only 4 points for a touchdown.
Yeah,
I'm going to take a guy who's going to get the red zone looks, and New England's going to be in the red zone all day.
Yeah, no, I see your point.
I mean, it's a flex play anyway.
It's close to a coin flip, to be honest, between those two guys.
My other two backs are Jamal Charles and DeMarco Murray.
Yeah,
so,
you're good.
Literally, it's
you good.
Speaking of that, you want to go to the Chiefs?
Well, the Chiefs are.
That's a 4
o'clock game.
We'll
get to them. Let's go to Miami Buffalo. Miami Buffalo is a matchup of a couple of 1-0 teams.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
What?
Who would have thought that?
Who knew? All right. Well, can't last forever. One of these guys, one of these teams has got to lose. I like the Bills. I don't know why.
I don't know either.
I just like the Bills.
I don't know.
They got a lot of guys that are fast. Sammy Watkins isn't as hurt as we thought. EJ Manuel's not completely incompetent.
I will say in PPR, I didn't sleep on him. Robert Woods. I mentioned him.
Had some play.
He had a pretty good game last week. I just think they're going up when they get in the red zone like they did last week. Obviously, EJ Manuel is going to run it in more often than not. At least that's what it seems.
That's true, but they do have to be careful with him. I mean, 3 prior knee injuries.
He's been hurt already in his early career, but
he's only a second-year player now. So
I mean the only consolation is what we thought was going to happen absolutely happened, and CJ Spiller had a decent game, but Fred Jackson stiff-armed someone into last century on like a 40-yard scamper, and Bryce Brown looked okay too. I mean, like
no, that was Anthony Dixon. I thought it was Bryce Brown too. It was Anthony Dixon. Brown was a healthy inactive for that game.
Either way, there's a lot of people in the backfield there. So
Fred Jackson's brutal mishandling of Chris Conte was pretty much their highlight of the week. Let's not be misled by that. That was a sort of standard carry in overtime that just Conte could not tackle him. I like Jackson better than Spiller, but I don't think he's a running back 1 or anything like that.
No.
I would make him a starter in the flex, something like that. Miami's defense is legit. It's not a great defense, but it does slow people down. I do like Mike Wallace. I don't think Stephon Gilmore is going to stop Mike Wallace.
No, the secondary for Buffalo is pretty depleted.
Yeah. So I
and
like
Tannehill for that matter.
And Tannehill, they're trying to go deep. They would love to. They haven't connected in a long time. But I think Wallace gets off the long ball schneid today and gets one.
He's not a top 12 player or anything, but if you're in a 2-quarterback league, you can do much worse than Tannehill.
Oh,
as
absolutely,
your second
absolutely.
quarterback.
Yeah, no, you could do way worse than Tannehill.
What about Miami's defense as a defense special teams?
I'm not crazy about them only because Buffalo doesn't really turn the ball over that much.
Okay.
They're pretty ground and pound.
Yeah.
Miami will get some sacks, but I don't think they're going to score huge points. They're on the road too. Buffalo's the home team on this one.
Inversely, what do you think about Buffalo as a starting D against Miami?
Not crazy
I
about
mean,
it.
they put up 33 on New England. I know New England's not like a juggernaut, but
yeah, I'm not crazy about them just because I think Miami runs the ball pretty effectively, and I do think Tannehill and Wallace hook up in this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kiko Alonso being out for the year really hurt that defense special teams value because they were a playable defense last year.
They were.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they'll have games where I would play them.
Like against the Jets.
But this isn't one of like against the Jets.
Pretty much start any defense against the Jets except for the Cowboys.
Yeah. Moving on to your guys, the Redskins, against the Jaguars.
I heard that tickets for this game were on StubHub for as low as $14.99.
Wow.
That actually is true.
That's amazing.
That's a true statement.
Because I considered it, but then I thought about gas and parking, and I didn't feel, and honestly, I mean, it's
going in and out of FedEx Field is not worth the price of admission.
It really isn't, even if I can get. And honestly, they actually had some decent lower section seats for like $30.
Yeah.
I mean, normally face value tickets of like $150, and they're $30 because no one wants to go to this game.
Normally you'd say a battle of juggernauts. This is a battle of jugglenuts.
Yeah,
wow.
This is a battle of juggernauts.
But there's fantasy value here.
There is fantasy value here. Alfred Morris, to me, is a guaranteed start.
Well, yeah.
Stay away from Niles Paul just because Jordan Reed is out.
Don't bite on that hook.
See, even though Jacksonville is the 3rd worst defense against the tight ends in fantasy, stay away from it.
I didn't even know. Well, I knew who Niles Paul was, but most people probably do not.
He is the backup to Jordan Reed, and if you're still asking me who Jordan Reed is, just stay away from this game altogether. You could start RG3 if you wanted to. If you have a better option, though, there are much better options out there today.
I think Jacksonville wins this game. I hate to say it, but
I'm
I think
not gonna lie.
Jacksonville wins this game.
I'm not gonna
Gerhardt's
lie.
healthy.
Yeah.
Shorts is out again, but Alan Hearns apparently is a player.
That brings up a question. You guys keep talking. I'm going to bring it up. Scott, one of our listeners, hit us up on Facebook.
Nice.
And it pertained to, he called the Vanilla Gorilla.
Wow.
Toby Gerhardt.
There you go.
I guess that's his nickname.
That's what we used to call Peyton Hillis.
That's true. So they're similar style players.
So he's trying to figure out whether to play Gerhardt.
Okay, so he needs a flex. Golden Tate at Carolina, and he already is playing Megatron.
Okay.
In his wide receiver 1, or Gerhardt. So
I say Gerhardt.
yeah, I mean I'm 99% sure it's a PPR league. So
here's the thing about Carolina's defense: they get after the quarterback. They're at home, and it's wet. It's raining.
it is
there.
raining. Okay.
So I'll take Gerhardt. I don't think Gerhardt's going to have a gigantic game because I don't think Jacksonville's offensive line's that great. But I don't think Golden Tate's going to bust loose. One of Carolina's real specialties, too, besides getting after the quarterback, is not giving up long passes.
Yeah.
So the points that Detroit's going to get is going to be, methodical scores, get downfield. They're not going to do what they did against the Giants last week and just have open, just lob passes down the field. I go Gerhardt. What do you think?
I'd probably go Gerhardt.
Yeah.
And that brings up an important point. If you want to send us a sit-start question or any comments,
question.
Facebook.com/The Ninja Legion and on Twitter @FootballDojo.
Yep, @FootballDojo, all one word. So you could ask us questions about anything.
Yeah, I like.
I like long walks on the beach.
Right. Why is the sky blue?
I like long walks to the bar.
Anything. Yeah, that too. Absolutely.
But no, Pierre Garçon, I struggle with him every week now because I'm fortunate enough to have a team that has 2 technically better receivers than him. But I still
this week.
Not this week.
Yeah, we have Brandon Marshall.
Right. We'll talk about that one later. So Garçon, I still think is going to be a good play today, just for volume.
Absolutely.
Like I said,
If not a touchdown, but just volume.
The guy's a catch machine.
Yeah.
He's every week 8 catches, 80 yards. He's going to put up 16 points.
And don't sleep on Alan Hearns, the waiver wire ad of all time. You always have that week 1 guy that breaks out. Hearns could continue because I don't think the Redskins secondary is very strong.
The Redskins like to take chances.
Right, they
D'Angelo
gamble.
Hall's out there floating around. He'll make some plays, but yeah, they can definitely give up the big play. So
S-Class, Mercedes Lewis, he may.
Ugh. I don't like Mercedes Lewis. I don't like Mercedes Lewis at all.
And Bortles' watch is still on because
Bortles' watch.
Henny had a good game, surprisingly.
Yeah, Henny's safe
given
for
the
now.
circumstances, but
Henny's safe for now, and he'll throw pretty well against the Redskins this week. So, I don't know. Would you consider Hearns a starting receiver or a flex guy?
Flex for
Flex.
sure.
I'd put him in the flex.
You can't take a guy like that.
And if you're in a
after 1
PPR
week.
league, I would downgrade him even further.
Yeah.
Because he'll get some looks, but I don't know that
Because
he's
he was
a
what,
volume
3
guy.
catches for
he had 3
110
catches for
or something?
Yeah, he had 3 catches in the first 5 minutes.
So, but yeah, interesting play. If you have people injured or questionable and you've got Hearns, you could do worse. You definitely could.
Next up, we got Dallas at Tennessee.
Oh,
the new hotness is starting anybody against Dallas, and I'm doing it because I picked up Jake Locker and started him instead of Phillip Rivers in one league.
I wanted to bring that up because I saw you picked him up because I was actually looking into it because the kid looks good this year.
he looks good every year until
He's
he gets
never
hurt.
had problems producing. It's just a matter of whether he's going to be
He
upright.
looks confident this year.
Yeah.
He's actually standing tall in the pocket, setting his feet and throwing the ball.
Right.
Because this is the first year he hasn't looked skittish.
Yeah.
Like running away and throwing off his back foot.
They have developing receivers with Wright and Justin Hunter, and Delaney Walker's now a factor, and
they're playing Dallas.
I would start Locker over a bunch of guys that you normally wouldn't. One of them being Rivers, because Rivers is going against Seattle, and I don't want any part of that.
No.
Yeah.
So, I like Locker. I'm going to go with Locker as my lay it on the line guy of the week.
There you go.
The guy you can make fun of me for if he doesn't.
Well,
do
I hope he
well.
plays well because I have Kendall right in a bunch of leagues,
Yeah.
and he came through last week. He's continuing his momentum from last year.
So I hope he plays well because I hate Dallas.
Oh,
Right,
there you go.
exactly. So-
anybody on Tennessee's, and this sounds so weird, anybody on Tennessee's offense I'd be okay with. Even Sean Green.
Yeah.
World's worst running back, Sean Green. I would start against Dallas.
In a league where I have to start 2 IDPs, I did have to hedge my bets against Vontez Burfict today, so I actually let Bishop Sankey go for an IDP.
Wow.
I have to fill the spot.
I wouldn't play. I would stash Sankey and not play him until he at least shows something.
That's the thing. I figured I wasn't going to play him potentially all year, so I needed someone. But that's to show you how.
So we're just going with a blanket. Start anybody on Tennessee if you don't have some sort of great option otherwise.
And please, for my sanity in my 2 quarterback league, can Romo not throw 3 picks in the first quarter this week?
I would actually ask for him to not throw 3 picks all game.
Well, yeah.
Because, Romo could easily do that in the second or the third quarter.
I want at least 300 yards. I don't even care if you win the game because, like I said, I don't care about the Cowboys.
Well, nobody cares about its fantasy.
But I just want him to 300-plus yards and give me like 1 or 2 touchdowns and don't have more interceptions than touchdowns. So let's see if he can
That
do
might be a
it.
tall order.
So you're not asking much here, bud.
Yeah, you're not asking much.
You're only asking for a Peyton Manning-esque game.
Well, there it is. There's my lay it on the line.
Tony Romo.
Tony Romo goes for 300 plus and 2 touchdowns.
Wow. That is bold.
I'm not
going
to throw the interception figure out because
I hope you're right because I got Des Bryant in a league that I am really hoping to win. But
that's what I'm going with that.
All right. He likes Tony Romo.
Ouch.
That is bold. Wow, I like it. He's laying it on the line. So
DeMarco Murray should have a good game.
Yeah,
too.
what do we think about Dallas as a team? I like most of the Dallas guys. Tennessee's a decent bend but don't break defense.
Well, Dallas's defense is definitely a sit.
Oh yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's a joke.
Does anybody even have Dallas's defense?
Nah, I can't imagine. I can't imagine why you would. So we like all the offensive guys in this game, with the exception of maybe Terrence Williams, because I don't know that they're going to have enough targets to go around. He had a decent game last week. Scored a garbage time touchdown, but I'm not crazy about. I would pump the brakes on Dallas's offense in that I don't know that everybody goes bonkers, but they will score some points. So I think the big names in that offense will do great. Next one up is Arizona and the Giants. Ugly. Arizona's going across the country, you know, the old cliche West Coast team going to a 1 o'clock game, but the Giants are terrible.
Yeah, they're bad.
The Giants are terrible.
But Carson Palmer's sitting this week.
He is.
He's listed as questionable, but doing some little research before we got on air, he is out.
He is out, which means Drew Stanton is going to play quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, it's important to note, Drew Stanton is not John Sheldon. Drew Stanton's not these bums that they've thrown out
you mean
there.
Skelton?
Skelton's who I met. That's who I met. I'm sorry, John Skelton. John Sheldon's probably somebody I met at some point in my life, but John Skelton's that's how bad John Skelton is that I didn't remember his name. It's long story short, I would certainly downgrade Floyd and Fitzgerald and even Ellington a little bit, but I wouldn't be afraid to play him if you are in a spot where you have to. Stanton's a competent backup quarterback. He's not going to light the sky up, but the fact of the matter is that the Giants don't have any defense whatsoever. So I wouldn't play Stanton, certainly, but I would be okay playing the other guys. Unless you're looking at them versus another really top-end player, I'd still be okay. I'm starting we were talking before we went on the air. I'm starting Ellington over Reggie Wayne in a league that's non-PPR, which was a tough call, but I'm going to start him in the flex.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that's not bad. I'd say not this week because of the quarterback scenario, but strong John Brown showed why I actually liked him coming out of the preseason.
John Brown's really fast.
He's extremely fast.
He took a bubble screen at about 1 in the morning.
It looked like a college football play what it looked like.
Yeah.
I mean, he was untouched from about, 15, 20 yards out on a bubble screen. So this week...
So let's say hold off on John Brown
the brakes
for
a little
right
bit.
now.
But if you got a roster spot, put him on there because if
stash him.
He's definitely a high-end talent. He's a lot like Andrew Hawkins was last year and still this year.
Yeah.
He's the type of guy that will get you some volume eventually when they start throwing it to him more often. But he's already showing he's got the talent. So that's a deep, deep play. But, I'd stash him right now. And then the Giants, Jennings, you probably have to start him because you probably drafted him fairly highly.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he still made something out of nothing last week, really, for fantasy purposes. Yeah. Still had a touchdown and close to 100 all-purpose yards.
Big stat in this game, Larry Donnell. Or Donald. Is it Donnell? I don't know.
I
think
it's Donnell. I think it's Donnell.
I've heard it both ways. We'll go with Donnell. Larry Donnell is like an oak tree with a head. Like
he's the ticket. He's the ticket oak.
He's the ticket oak. Very nice. That's a good nickname. Ticket oak Larry Donnell. Since we can't pronounce his last name, I've got him as a sleeper tight end pickup. I picked him up in one league because I had Charles Clay. And Charles Clay didn't do anything for me last week, so I was like, why not roll the dice with Larry Donnell? He's a big red zone target for them.
He's their own. I mean, they didn't look anywhere else at all in the red zone.
They literally had the ball on the 1 yard line, ran 4 plays, went 4 on 4th down, ran it once, and threw it twice to Donnell and once to one of their other receivers, and Donnell scored the touchdown.
Right. They threw it to each corner to Donnell. They're just like, do that fade thing we told you about.
Yeah. By the way, Arizona is the worst team against the tight end in the NFL. I don't know why, but they just are.
Yeah, that's a kind of a weird
Every
stat.
tight end's career game has come against Arizona. They have middle linebackers and safeties that are out.
Yeah, Gates looked awesome.
Honey Badger's out. Washington's out. All the guys that are out have impact on covering the tight end. So I like Larry Donnell. Start the guy. I mean, if you've got Jordan Cameron who's not going to play today, if you've got one of the other tight ends that's hurt, if you were dumb enough to draft Charles Clay like I did, play Larry Donnell. Why not?
Yeah.
So. That would bring us to. Do you have anything on that game there? Sorry, we're just blasting through here.
You guys kind of
we're on a time crunch because we're going up against 12:45 here, but we got a couple more 1 o'clock games. New Orleans at Cleveland.
Scoring everywhere.
I'm going to take a sip of water. You guys go ahead.
Yeah, scoring everywhere. So
two big things for Cleveland: no Jordan Cameron, no Ben Tate.
Right. So, but good old Terrence West gets and
Towson
and the other gentleman
Crowell. Isaiah Crowell.
They're both very exciting to watch, and that's something you don't hear about the Browns very often at all. And
Porter had a decent game last week. I mean, granted, he looked like shit. Looked like crap in the first half. Pardon me. Can't do that.
it's the Browns. It just happens naturally.
You can't help it. You can't help it. It happens. He looked horrible in the first half. Turned out he was a new man in the second half.
Yeah.
And they were almost benched him. I mean, it was close. We almost had a Manziel
It was
sighting.
almost time for
Manziel took off. He was about to take off his workout gear and take a bite of Snickers, and then
Don't even get me started on that. I've ranted on that enough.
So can we agree that West is probably the better guy than Crowell until proven otherwise?
I would think so. And also, guys, I just mentioned his name Hawkins today. He had.
If you're in a PPR league,
PPR in particular,
Andrew Hawkins is a decent flex play.
Right.
Considering New Orleans clearly can't cover everybody, which they proved last week.
But otherwise, I'd say the other side of the coin there. Everyone on
play
New
your
Orleans.
Saints. Play all the Saints. I mean, we don't. We're not geniuses telling you to play all the New Orleans Saints, but I really like Pierre Thomas in this game.
Pretty much everything that was talked about in the fantasy preseason for the Saints happened. Brandon Cooks was great. Pierre Thomas was, for PPR purposes, serviceable. And then Mark Ingram had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Mark Ingram had 2 3-yard touchdowns.
And then
Breeze, inexplicable.
Yeah, Breeze still had a good game. It wasn't like an incredible game, but like everyone except for Colston really didn't. No one was really expecting Colston to be a wide receiver 1 or maybe even a 2 this year. Maybe a 2, but definitely a flex. Yeah. But everyone got the ball last week, and I see that happening again. That no one on Cleveland's defense is going to scare the New Orleans offense. I feel
even Joe Hayden didn't play that well last week. So everything changes from week to week, and that's one of the overriding laws of football and fantasy, especially, is you can't really bank that much on week 1 stuff.
No,
you're pretty much sticking with what you thought to begin the season, unless you see something crazy with injuries or beating your kid with switches. So that's Cleveland's still not a good team, even though they had a great second half last week against a team which.
We're finding out quickly.
We're finding out quickly Pittsburgh's not that great. Yeah. But like I said, we won't really know anything verifiable until probably week 6, when these teams have all had a couple home, a couple road games. They've all experienced short weeks with nationally televised games and all this stuff. Pittsburgh was in a bad spot, but they did play horribly. So we don't really know who Pittsburgh is at this point.
Nope. So, honestly, I would kind of stay away from Terrence West in this game, though, because New Orleans is just going to run right through them, and they're going to have to throw the ball all day.
Yeah, I mean,
to even have a chance, I guarantee you New Orleans is up by 3 touchdowns at the half.
Oh, I definitely see your point. He could also though get some garbage time if they're up.
Yeah, and they got crushed last week and still run the ball though.
Yeah,
because they can't throw. I mean, they're not going to go throw it 40 times because they don't have the personnel.
I'm just saying,
don't
bank on him being a solid number 2.
No, I mean,
there could be a solid number 2 in this game, but.
You said it.
I did. If I keep putting my foot in my mouth, I'm gonna actually be able to. You'll see it coming out my mouth here in a minute. No, but I'd flex him at best, personally.
I'm not saying start him as a number 1.
I wouldn't endorse Terrence West as a starting running back, but a flex is not a bad.
He's an interesting play if you've got issues.
And I think the big things that everybody takes away from week 1 is that New Orleans defense, which everybody was hot on as a sleeper defense, is not as good as we thought they were until proven otherwise. They were negative points as a fantasy defense last week against the Falcons.
That hurts when you get
that
negative.
Really kills when you're playing a defense and they go negative.
Yeah.
They did have. I wouldn't say they're. I mean, granted, they did have a bad performance, but Matt Ryan looked incredible. I mean, he was.
Yeah, they ran into a Matt Ryan freight train.
he that's one of the best games he's ever played. I mean,
statistically, it was his best.
Statistically or not, I mean, like the throws.
Statistically, non-statistically, it's the best game he's ever played.
The throws were there. Yeah. He looked good in the pocket. He stood tall and he threw the ball on point.
And that's what we call a segue, folks. Let's go to Atlanta, Cincinnati.
Oh yeah.
See.
Now, here's the big question: can Matt Ryan throw the ball outdoors?
I think so. He's had to have done it at some point in his career. So.
Well, he played for Boston College,
right?
But in the pros.
By the way, BC, what up? Beat USC last night. I have no vested. I have no interest in BC, but I watched the game.
Atlanta's playing Cincinnati in Cincinnati. The Natty might be a really good football team.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they won the division last year, but everybody has their doubts about Andy Dalton. But man, they looked pretty good last week. They scored. They could have scored a lot more points than they did.
My lay it on the line pick was Sanu last week. In PPR, he had 10 points even. I'm gonna say that's a push. I'm not. I didn't really hit hard on that.
He's not
but
taking the loss on
I
this,
didn't
folks.
take the loss. I still think he's gonna be really good until Marvin Jones comes back. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just a big target, and
And
they're gonna throw the ball a lot today.
Atlanta doesn't play good defense, so this is going to be weird and controversial as a Falcons fan. I benched Matt Ryan for Jake Locker this week.
Oh,
I did it.
that's ballsy.
That is, but
You will
look
really
at Matt
are laying it
Ryan's
on the
outdoors.
line.
Look at Matt Ryan outdoors. Ryan hasn't done anything outdoors.
I believe
and
you.
Cincinnati plays good defense.
They do. I mean,
And they're at home.
if you're strictly playing matchups, I totally agree with you. But it's hard to do that.
That's the old week 1 versus week 2. Let's regress to the mean.
Yeah.
Ryan goes. He doesn't have a bad game. Ryan doesn't have a bad game today, but I don't think he's going to be a top 10 fantasy quarterback today.
Okay.
And that's coming from a guy that owns his jersey.
No, I know. Cincinnati has got a
you know.
very good defense. Hopefully, perfect plays. I already spoke on that.
Well, Jake Matthews is going to be out too. So Atlanta's offensive line is not going to be as good as it was last week. It's going to be tough for them to score against Cincinnati, even though they went out and went crazy last week.
Can we all agree Gio Bernard has a great game?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's
Well, there you go.
he's locked in.
There's
number
your
one.
analysis.
Yes.
Gio Bernard.
For PPR in
Great
particular. But as far as the other Bengals, obviously AJ Green, but I think they throw a lot.
I think Gresham has a good game. Eifert's out.
Yeah, Eifert. Yeah,
Eifert's out with a gory elbow injury.
yeah that was gross.
Jermaine Gresham's not a big vertical guy, but I like him today.
Red zone, he can be very
in the
good.
red zone. He's pretty good, and they do run plays for him. They run bubble screens and all sorts of weirdness for him, even though he's not a big athletic guy like Eifert is. So if you're in need of a tight end,
Yeah, and the Jeremy Hill hype had to have been silenced a bit last week because the carry split was very in Gio's favor.
yeah, they can
it was
say what they
20 to
want,
4.
but,
Yeah. So I mean, it's eventually he could start vulturing a little bit, but they even gave Gio the carries on the goal line, so that's a really good sign for anyone who bought in as highly as I did for him.
Guys that you should pump the brakes on and not be excited about, even though they did well last week. I would not play Jaquiz Rogers in any capacity.
Devin Hester.
I wouldn't play Devin Hester.
He
in
had
any
almost
capacity.
100 yards last week. Which,
Everybody did.
I know, but that was shocking to me. Still.
I wouldn't play Antone Smith.
No,
I wouldn't play Steven Jackson.
it's Roddy White, Julio Jones,
It's
Matt
Roddy
Ryan.
Julio, and if you want to play Toilolo, go ahead.
What a great name.
Levine Toilolo. We love it. Atlanta's not going to score a ton of points in this game, so temper your expectations as far as these guys go. The Antone Smith and Jaquiz Rogers stuff especially was
Painful.
That was tough for fantasy owners to watch because they're out
Yeah.
there scoring 1 million points, and none of the guys that you want to score are scoring. Next up, we've got our last 1 o'clock game, which we talked a little bit about, which is Detroit at Carolina. I don't know that I would start Reggie Bush or Joik Bell this week.
Yeah, I have to in one league, and I'm not looking forward to starting Reggie Bush. I think it's going to be tough sledding. You mentioned the weather.
And you got to throw Stafford out there, but it wouldn't shock me if he does, below average for what he's used to.
Right.
I'm starting Cam Newton in a league over Colin Kaepernick. Maybe I'm just itchy to get Cam out there, but I want to get Cam out there.
Yeah.
I like Kelvin Benjamin in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Carolina scores some points. I think they're going to go out there for the home crowd and want to really get out there and take some chances. I know Riverboat Ron is not exactly a big risk taker as far as the overall game plan, but I think you're going to see more offense out of Carolina than you think.
And that would be welcome. D'Angelo Williams is out. Not that you really should be concerned with that, but if
Running game is a mess.
yeah, he's out. So Jonathan Stewart.
I also, by the way, don't give Cam Newton enough maturity points to not go out there and do something dumb.
Right.
Like run all over the place or throw the ball downfield when he shouldn't. And that could be a good thing for fantasy owners.
Yeah.
Because I'll take a guy with a half-broken rib that doesn't know his rib's broken. Sure, why
He has
not?
a dry fit shirt
Now-
that has a rib pad sewn into it. I saw that on Twitter.
Well, then he's
today.
all set.
Yeah.
And I mean, sure, Ndamukong Suh could come through and kick him in the chest or something. He could do
Don't worry, he'll stomp on
He
him.
could
like-
do a 300 "This is Sparta" kick like Antonio Brown
Oh,
did last week.
We could do a whole segment on that. I wish we had time to do that because I giggled like a little schoolgirl in the bar when I saw that, and we immediately did the WWE commentary, which then someone did for real.
Yeah, somebody
on
actually
Whoever that was, we
mess it
really
up.
do appreciate
Thanks.
that.
made my
Because
weekend.
I was the drunken idiot starting to just yell "Sweet Chin" music over and over
It was
again,
great.
or "Bro Kick" for the modern day
Yeah.
fans.
Right.
He is broken in half. So now we're gonna go to the 4 o'clock games.
Oh, sorry. Start Calvin Johnson. Yeah.
Does that even need to be said anymore?
Thanks, Mike.
I just
Dynamite dropping.
Look, we have people. We have people
I know
of
we
all
got
skill
you here
levels.
for a reason.
We have people of all skill levels listening in. Some people may not understand that you always start Calvin Johnson, no matter the conditions. It could be during an airstrike, like an actual weapons-induced airstrike.
Like in actual warfare.
In a battlefield.
Well, say, no, don't worry. None of them actually hit the ground because Calvin will just catch them
That's
all.
what I'm saying. So.
All right, 4 o'clock game. St. Louis at Tampa.
Ew.
It's like what Kirk said on what Kirk said. It's poo on poo. I don't know what to say.
Well, I'm starting Tampa's defense in one league because St. Louis was awful last week.
Well, in another league as well.
I mean, let's be honest. Who's Austin Davis?
Yeah, exactly. I thought he was the guy from Auburn from Boise that proposed to his wife, Boise State, a couple years ago.
No.
It was Austin something, I think.
But he was a running back.
I know, but I'm just saying that's how no-name this guy is.
Yes, Tampa's defense. Not a good defense.
No, but a good play today.
A good play. Yeah, they can stop the run, and that's enough to stop St. Louis. I don't like Zach Stacy.
No.
I wouldn't play him. I know you probably took him as a number 2 or maybe even a number 1 running back, but if you did, you're in trouble.
For the foreseeable future, I don't see anyone really startable on St. Louis.
No.
Am I wrong?
I mean, Brian Quick had 80 yards.
Yeah, you're right. In PPR formats, you could roll the dice with him a little bit.
But I don't think I would. I don't.
You'd have to be in dire straits.
Team.
So
not to mention that even if you do have Zach Stacy, you got Benny Cunningham looking, creeping up on him for carries. St. Louis's offense is a mess. Tampa's offense. Oh, Doug Martin. Why Doug Martin?
Yeah.
Why you gotta be like that?
Again,
Doug
I'm
Martin?
wrong about that. I said I thought he was going to get out of the gate strong.
You can't account for injury. We don't.
Sure
we're
can.
We're not going to bust you up for having a bad prediction because the guy got hurt. Even though, hopefully, you saw that coming a mile away.
I didn't say anything about McCown, but I thought McCown would do fairly well. He's got pretty good receivers. Mike Evans had a decent first game in the NFL, by the way, in the second half.
I don't like this game to go over 30. Honestly, I mean, this game's not going to go over 30 points combined. If
it's going to be
sports gambling.
Yeah.
St. Louis's defensive line is still good. Their defense as a whole is still good. They didn't look so great against Minnesota, but it was a bit deceptive because Minnesota scored on a pick 6. They scored on the big 60-yard Patterson run. Tampa can't do any of that. So I actually don't mind St. Louis's defense as a play, even though their offense is going to put them in a bad situation time and time again. But
I started St. Louis last week and got negative points. I can't do it ever again.
Okay.
They're blacklisted for the whole season.
Wow.
For me. So
doesn't take much for Mike to throw you right down the chute.
Nope, I give you the Antonio Brown kick right off my roster.
As bad as these two offenses are, both teams are going to be starting, probably average starting field position is probably the 35 or the 40.
Yeah.
So, I mean, each defense is going to be backed up playing short field all day.
If you have punters in your fantasy league, start both.
Oh, yeah. Lots of punts in this one.
You're going to get 80 points for your punter.
All right, who's the other 4 o'clock game? We got the
Seahawks at San Diego.
Yeah, I with the quickness benched. Just lost his name.
Rivers.
Keenan Allen.
Oh, Keenan Allen.
I mean, I bench Rivers too. I mean,
don't start anybody.
Seattle has proven
Diego, really.
still, at least from the first game, that they are no joke, and you will not score many points on them. So
Seattle isn't quite as good on the road, but I'm not willing to test that theory. So yeah, I mean, you guys already heard about how I benched Phil Rivers. So I don't like anybody that San Diego's throwing out there, even Gates, even Matthews, even Allen. I mean, you're obviously going to be stuck at some point starting one of those guys in a lot of opportunities, but I wouldn't feel good about any of them. As far as Seattle goes, I think San Diego's defense is decent. I mean, I don't think...
It's not bad, yeah.
And really, with the Seattle on the road situation, the offense is usually what's affected more than the defense. You were talking about starting Russell Wilson.
I had a hard choice today between starting Jay Cutler or Russell Wilson.
Oof.
Coming to find out, we'll talk about it later. Jay Cutler's two biggest weapons are probably not going to be there tonight.
Yeah.
So it made the decision a lot easier. Had this guy not picked up Jake Locker, I'd actually tried to do that first thing this morning, and that's when I saw that he had grabbed him. I'd be starting Jake Locker over Russell Wilson.
I still think Wilson's a good
I
play.
think he'll have a good game, but he's not going to light the world on fire. I'm probably 225 and one passing, maybe one throwing touchdown.
Rushing.
Yeah, one rushing and one
Lynch
passing.
should have a good game.
Lynch should. I mean, obviously you're going to play Lynch either way,
right.
But I think Lynch will have a decent game. I'm not a big Percy Harvin guy in this game, only because I think San Diego's got the secondary to keep him in check on all the weird jet sweeps and all the, all the weird gadget plays that they run. I think Harvin does pretty much what he did last week. You'll get some yardage. I don't know that he's going to break a big one, and I don't know that the touchdowns in this game aren't going to be from close in.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't sleep on Gates too much because there's going to be a lot of checkdowns in this game.
Yeah. That's not a bad
point. He's just got a big body that he can put in front of everybody.
Yeah, if you don't have a better option.
He's going to have Cam Chancellor hanging all over him. I mean,
I picked him up as a PP or IDP guy this week.
I don't know. I mean, hey, if you're going to take anybody from San Diego, Gates is first on your list.
That's my point.
Right.
He's probably going to be your best option.
True.
Let's go to Houston, Oakland. This is the Arian Foster game that everybody's waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for it.
Yeah,
let him run
Arian
wild. Foster, let's do it. Let's go nuts.
What about Derek Carr? He didn't look bad last week. He had 2 TDs.
I think Houston's defense is better than. Well, we think they're good because they crushed Washington last week, but I don't like Derek Carr that much.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I do have to defense here. 14-6 isn't crushing. Just pointing that as a fan, I have to point that out.
It was soul crushing.
It was soul crushing. Yes.
Yeah, but an 8-point. But the point is, the Redskins couldn't do anything down the field. They just played umbrella defense on him and let him dink it down to Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon.
MJD is still listed as highly questionable with a hand injury.
He had hand surgery.
He had hand surgery. He's not going to play. I mean, they might say what they're going to say, but he's not going to play.
You would be to your point. They're going to be looking to throw downfield to try to get some offense going because. I mean, McFadden is still. I mean, he can carry the ball.
I tell you what, Murray. Is it Latavius? Is that how you say his first name?
Latavius Murray. Yep.
The kid is a hell of an athlete. I mean, don't be surprised if he's the starting back by week 6 and is actually doing quite well.
Yeah, Murray's a guy that I would stash along with your John Brown conversation earlier.
So he is a sleeper pickup. I don't think he has a big game this week.
Yeah,
but
it's a war of attrition in that backfield.
You're talking about Derek Carr. I don't like J.J. Watt in Derek Carr's shorts all day long, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
I just brought him up because he was an interesting play last week because it's first game of his career and it was a favorable matchup, and he did okay. He didn't have a lot of yardage, but he had 2 touchdowns.
Didn't do anything real stupid.
No, but I'm saying this game is a little scary for that. I like Houston's defense.
Yeah,
I actually unfortunately dropped them last week before game time.
I got Houston in a league.
That made me
as
real
my
mad.
Defense. Sure.
But I like Derek Carr going forward, though. Like I think they're going to throw the ball a lot because they're going to be down a lot.
Derek Carr did not look like a clown show last week.
No,
that's about all you can say for a rookie quarterback on a bad team. I mean, I give him credit. He didn't look terrible. He threw some nice passes. The pass that James Jones caught was a beautiful pass.
Yeah.
The Raiders are going to get some easy matchups, so okay. Yeah. I mean, Carr's not horrendous. The Jets are going to Green Bay.
Oh, good luck with that.
I don't know. There could be a bunch of points scored in this game because
there really could.
Green Bay doesn't defend that
Chris
well.
Johnson could have another good week and prove everyone wrong.
A start. I don't like the Jets to win by any stretch. I think Green Bay's going to put a ton of points on them. I think you're going to see all the points that you didn't get in week 1 against Seattle come up in week 2 for Green Bay.
Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson full go.
Eddie Lacy's supposed to play.
So he's supposed to play, but how many touches do you think he's going to get?
I think they play. I think if he plays, they play him.
Yeah, that's true. They probably would.
I think if there was any doubt about his concussion, they wouldn't play him at all. I think if they're going to play him, it means he's 100%. I don't know what else there is to say about this game.
I mean, on the Jets, if you're a Jets fan, you may fully believe in Geno Smith and his capabilities to score points. No one else does in the country.
So no, you don't.
So I mean, you're probably not starting him. You're not starting Eric Decker because they're going to focus on Decker because there's not many other targets.
One of the few things Green Bay's defense does do well is if they've got one guy to pick on, they can usually pick on him.
Yeah.
And I think Decker's that guy, which means Tramon Williams is going to be on him, and they're going to have Clinton Dix or whoever the safety is on that side over the top for him. I don't look at Eric Decker doing a lot, even though Green Bay's defense didn't show a whole lot against Seattle.
Yeah, I do like Chris Johnson and Chris Ivory. I like the Chris's. They're going to put up some points. I don't usually
say this often, but I would start Chris Johnson.
Yeah.
If that's something that you need to do. Yeah. Kansas City goes to Denver.
Poor Kansas City.
Man.
They're going to get waxed.
Wow. I don't even know what to say about Kansas City. Now, this could be one of these situations where they come out and play well because
it's a
week 1 and week
game.
2 or 2, they familiarity and all the rest is. I don't buy it.
Tell you what, you better give Jamal Charles the ball.
Yeah, just give Jamal Charles the ball. This isn't hard.
Andy Reid even said, I don't know why we gave it to him 11 times. Like, he admitted it in a press conference.
Is
He's
it
like,
bad when your head coach goes to the press and is like, I don't know, guys. I'm just going to throw my hands up. I don't know why I did that.
Yeah, so,
Like,
all right.
really?
So
I know Andy Reid's, like, he's got a huge, inappropriate word for passing. Like, he just loves the pass.
Yeah.
But guess what? You don't have anybody to catch the ball. You get Dwayne Bowe back.
Hooray. Who's still nursing,
Yeah.
nursing a hamstring or quad injury.
Yeah, they're bringing him back. So, like, don't start Dwayne Bowe.
Yeah.
Please. Just
Don't start
all
Donnie
three of
Avery.
us beg of you, do not start Dwayne Bowe this week. Unless your name is Jamal Charles, you should not be playing in a fantasy lineup this week.
Jamal
It's in a
Charles, by
Kansas
the
City
way,
jersey,
in a PPR league with an IDP player, Jamal Charles and the kicker and defense scored the least amount of points on my team last week.
Yeah.
Every other player on my team had double-digit points except for Jamal Charles.
With that said, I do like Charles to have a good game this week.
Yeah, I do too.
If for no other reason than they're just going to dump him the ball over and over again to make up for last
Yeah, you
week.
don't sit Charles. I mean, it doesn't matter.
I would. Well, I mean, obviously you're going to play him, but I wouldn't feel all that uptight about him either. Even if they get down, they're still going to use Charles a ton. I don't think they're going to make the same mistake they did last week, and I don't think Denver, their defense is that great, honestly. Even though they got all the new players and everything, it's going to take them a couple weeks to get gelled, and they're going to have garbage time that they're going to give up some points to, and Jamal Charles is the guy.
So I expect him to get probably 30 touches today.
Oh, I would hope
between
so.
dump passes and actual carries.
Yeah,
It's going to be 30 plus.
Julius Thomas won't have 3 touchdowns in the first half, but he's going to continue his reign of terror on defense.
If you got Denver guys, play them all. Emmanuel Sanders, everybody. Monte Ball didn't look great, but he scored a touchdown, and that's kind of what Denver backs do.
Yep.
We're coming down to a couple minutes left. We got 2 games left. Chicago, San Francisco. Don't play any Bears except for Matt Forte.
Yeah, it's bad news. Yeah.
The receivers are hurt. Even if they play at the last minute, it's too late for you because it's 8:30 at night. Don't play any Bears except for Forte. On the Niners,
the Bears looked pretty awful on defense last week. So I mean, Kaepernick,
Bolden, Kaepernick,
PPR,
Crabtree
really laid an egg last week, but I don't think he didn't really have to play, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think they played him that much. I like all the Niners.
Gore and Hyde actually looked really good too. So it looks like they're going to be mixing him in.
I wouldn't get crazy. And
No,
play
but
Hyde.
I'm saying,
Just say make Gore's stock go down even further. That's not a good thing.
Right. Yeah.
And the last game on the docket is your Monday Night Football, and we were talking about this before we went on the air. This is the game where everybody thinks it's going to be a 60-point game, and they're going to go out and score like 17-10.
Yeah.
But with that said, play all your Colts, play all your Eagles. Andrew Luck has a big game. Foles has a big game. Neither one of these defenses is any good.
This wouldn't be a shocking stat. That's why I couldn't use it as lay it on the line. Zach Ertz will continue to be great because you saw what Julius Thomas did to the Colts last week.
Zach Ertz is a huge play this week.
Yeah,
Zach Ertz is a top 5 tight end this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
With that said, we're going to wrap it up here. Oh, we got
real
more.
Quick.
What's that?
We always do a survivor pick.
We're doing a survivor pick.
Throw it out there.
You know what? I'm going Green Bay because I want to use Denver later.
Okay. I would say that, again, this is me just being ridiculous. I would say get Houston out of the way. They're playing. I think they can beat Oakland.
Yeah.
And if you have to use them at some point, which obviously you do, I'd say you use them now.
Yeah, my general philosophy is take your most likely outcome because you've still got to make it there. You can't get cute and use picks later, but Houston's a good pick.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kirk?
I'm going to be a little ballsy. I'm going to take the Titans over the Cowboys.
Titans over the Cowboys.
Okay. I like it. Nice. That's another team where
it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a close game, but I take the Titans over the Cowboys.
Yeah, the Titans are a team that you normally don't feel great about, so you might as well, like you said, take them now and early on.
Now, granted, watch. I'm going to take them now and say if this was a real survivor pool, they're going to go 13-0 to start the season. It would be a guaranteed lock in Week 14.
Yeah,
but who knows?
Well, that's all we got, folks. Again, send us some questions at Football Dojo on Twitter. Or you can get to us through
Facebook.com/TheNinjaLegion or TheNinjaLegion.net.com. It goes the same place.
Now, we did a Tuesday night podcast this week. We're not doing it this week. We are going to be back next Sunday at noon. Thanks for everybody for watching, and have a great Sunday.